I'm Irfan Pardesi. I'm from Johannesburg. I'm actually from Pakistan, but I'm part of the Johannesburg chapter. I joined YPO 7-8 years ago, but I left YPO immediately. I've been asked this a few times, and I had to bring this up yesterday as well. YPO, when I joined YPO, from the outside, at that time it seemed like an exclusive club, which fortunately I had become part of it at an age of 23. However, it wasn't necessarily I wanted to be part of once I understood what it was. And for me, the best way to put YPO was it's regarded as your parents' organization, not necessarily young president's organization. However, last year, after a few years in EO, I started realizing that there was something missing. I could see that maybe I made a mistake. Sometimes we make a bad judgment call, and I realized very clearly that I'd made a bad judgment call. There's this amazing network of 23,000 people that I have access to by being part of this organization. And when I come in again, I realize now what a massive mistake it was back in the days. I think when you come in the inside, it's not an elite club. It's not your parents' organization. It's such an amazing peer-to-peer network which allows you to access people on such a different level that you completely forget about who you are, what you do in terms of your size of the business. It's about those shared experiences, and that's where the real value is, right? So, I very strongly believe that YPO is more relevant today than it had ever been. And the reason I say that is in the 70s and the 80s and even in the early 90s, the whole thing was all about group of companies. People wanted to put their fingers in different businesses, some manufacturing, some service businesses, some insurance, some this, some that. And the whole concept was, let's create a diversified group, let's create a conglomerate. And now, the more you speak to people, every single person would say, I focus on one thing where I genuinely believe that I can be the best in the world in. And that is absolutely amazing. Please do focus on one thing that you can be absolutely best in the world in. And if you want to learn about everything else, go find somebody who's best in the world at that particular thing. YPO gives you those people from around the world. Why do I need to go anywhere else? One of the reasons I got into my business was to ensure I can help more and more people and bring some sort of structure in a very chaos environment, And it's one thing I keep saying that, when a doctor leaves a clinic, it's very simple for him to start a clinic, and the same thing with a lawyer. However, when a banker leaves a bank, he cannot start his own bank. So he ends up taking a restaurant franchise. And that's not what he's passionate about. What he's passionate about is finance. What he's passionate about is maths and numbers. And that's why he was outperforming everybody else in his class growing up in maths. Our business is about those guys who want to become entrepreneurs. They always had those aspirations. But they don't want to structure something from scratch. And that's where we come in and we say, hey, you guys run our brand. After a certain level in your business, it's all about giving. It's all about understanding that, that happiness and excitement comes from giving. And these people are in this organization, they're there, they want to share. It's almost that they want to give away all the knowledge that they have. And it's fascinating when you're at the receiving end, because from the outsider's perspective, this guy could be a CEO of $1 billion company. But from the inside, you start realizing that everybody's problems are the same. Just because I saw this person's PR, I was looking at this person with the lens of the PR. But that when you're looking at yourself, you're looking at yourself naked in the mirror. And when you start having a chat, you start realizing their problems are not very, very different to yours. They have infinitely more experience, at least in an environment like me. When I meet somebody 50, 60, 70-year-old in the organization, they're infinitely more experienced. As long as I'm willing to learn, which is what the organization pushes us for, I know for a fact I'm going to get value out of it. But one thing that really stands out for me, that I would tell my 23-year-old if I could go back in time, is YPO is not just about business. It's not about networking. It's not about selling. If you're coming here to get access to 23,000 global leaders' email addresses, it's not there. It's not for you. 20% of YPO is perhaps business. The remaining 80% is getting your priorities right. It's about how to ensure that you live a happy family life. It's about how to ensure that personally you keep challenging yourself. It's about spiritually or emotionally challenging yourself. It's about getting your spouse involved. My wife is loving YPO. She's loving it. She's 25 years old. She is absolutely loving it. The idea of YPO is really around growing you as an individual, and the best way to put it is, most companies, irrespective of the size, are now going towards a methodology where they actually have a board or an advisory board or a fiduciary board. What about your personal life? Isn't the business just there to provide for you and not the other way around? And if that's the case, who is your personal board? And that's what YPO gives you. You have a forum where you have a personal board that meets once a month. Irrespective of where you are in the world, you've got to come back for that 4-hour forum every single month. And that board is there to challenge you.